welcome to our YouTube channel. I hope you guys are doing well. Let us talk about K.N. Daruwalla today. K.N. Daruwalla is an Indian poet and today we will be talking about him. This picture is of K.N. Daruwalla. So Keki N Daruwalla, K.N. Daruwalla, he was born on 24th January 1937. He is an Indian poet and a short story writer in English. So he is an Indian poet as well as a short story writer in English. He is also the former Indian Police Service officer. So he was part of the Indian Police Service and he is someone who is an Indian poet as well as a short story writer. Few things to remember. He was awarded the Sahitya Academy Award for his important poetry collection called as The Keeper of the Dead. The Keeper of the Dead. In which year? In 1984. In 1984, his poetry collection, The Keeper of the Dead, is given Sahitya Academy Award by the Sahitya Academy, Indian National Academy of Letters. So he was awarded this prize in 1984. He was also awarded Padma Shri, a very important award. Also, you can say it is the 4th highest civilian award in India, and he received this in 2014. So there are a number of themes that we will cover while discussing a number of works that K.N. Daruwalla has written. So K.N. Daruwalla, K.N. Daruwalla, Kolatkar, and we have P. Lal. So these are the important poets who are writing together and they are all parts of the writer's workshop as well. They all came together, they write about the mundane life, they wrote about the number of problems that the city people had to face, or they were writing about the lost generation. They all came together and they started to talk and discuss things and they wrote poetry together. So they were part of the writer's workshop, jo kisne start ki thi? P. Lal ne start ki thi, Purushottam Lal. So there are the number of themes that we'll be discussing from the works that will reflect how K.N. Daruwalla was writing. So covering a wide range of themes, we have Daruwalla who portrayed vividly and very minutely the contemporary India and the socio-political situations after independence. So basically he and the other poets that I was talking about, whether it is Pratish Nandi or it is Sujata Bhatt or any other poet, whether it is Vikram Seth as well, they were all post-independence poets. So after post-independence, their way of writing was also very different. They were not talking about nationalism anymore, but they were talking about the socio-political situations, about corruption, about the city life, how they were all fractured humans. And now they do not have Britishers and the Britishers' hand. Now what to do with themselves? So they were like these lost generations who were trying to pave the path on their own. They are also going to change the way in which the aura of English writing was there. They are going to change and they are going to, just mix a tint of modernism in poetry and the way poetry was written before it. So we see that he is someone who is going to talk about the socio-political world and he is going to touch on irony and sarcasm as well. He exposes the evils of the communal tensions, the rights, the explorations, the criminalization of politics as well as systems like dowry, etc. were all criticized in the works of K.N. Daruwalla. Communal violence caused disintegration of the world and the social life is seen as a very prominent theme in this world. Curfew in the right town city. Curfew in a right town city. Poems from Terai, Curfew and Walking to the Center also reflect the professional experiences that Daruwalla himself had. The Migrations is another work. He is going to deal with the disintegration of the village community that used to live there. His deep anguish is shown with the institutions of our country. So the institution of corruption and how free India is going to now fall apart. These are the themes that you will see in the works like Hunger. Then we have Monologue in the Chambal Valley, Hawk and Food and Words. So these are some important works by him and he is talking about the institutional corruption that is going to eat up everything that we have in India and how the world will crumble. This is something that he was talking about. The poet's social concern, compassion as well as sympathy was shown to be remarkably projected by the number of poems. He is going to reflect on the social concerns, the compassion that he had for the misfortunate people who are there. Or you can say the downtrodden or the marginalized people, the classes that are not yet emerging. So in this context, the poems entitled like the Ghagra in Spate and Pestilence naturally occur very immediately, and they all talk about the misfortunate section of the world. The Sahitya Academy Award winning collection that is called as The Keeper of the Dead came in 1982, and it is also marked with the same thematic effects. There are variety of images, vivid images, unique poetic sensibility that he is going to use. There are comments that Daruwalla's poems are very concrete, very precise, very well crafted, and all of them are going to explain the terms and what position India holds when it comes to Indian writing. There is another work that is important. The work is called as A Summer of Tiger. It's a collection of poems that came out after a long silence in 8 years. After the different works he has done, this work came out. His range always widened with each and every subject that he wrote. He is the one who is going to use wide variety of images, wide variety of different themes. It's like alchemy what he did in his works. Okay. So with the publication of 2 short collections, Sword as well as Abyss in 1979 and A Minister for Permanent Unrest and Other Stories in 1996, Daruwalla has shown that he is equally at ease and engaging with another genre, not only poetry. So he came out and wrote some short story collections like Sword, Abyss that came out in 1979, and in 1996 we have The Minister for Permanent Unrest and Other Stories. And he proved that वो सिर्फ poetry में अच्छी नहीं है, but there are stories also that he can write. Stories that made no less impact than the number of poetries he has written. The Minister of Permanent Unrest, the title story, demonstrates the skill and the other story set that are going to talk about the historical past and the faraway places that are there. He's going to talk about the complete nation as one, that is India. Besides the Sahitya Academy Award in 1984, he also won the Commonwealth Poetry Prize in 1987 for his volume Landscape. किसके लिए मिली थी उनको? Landscape. So Commonwealth Prize किसके लिए मिलता है? Landscape के लिए. His first book of poetry was Under Orion, which was published by the Writers Workshop in 1970. So Writers Workshop के अंदर जो पीलाल ने start की थी, there are number of poets coming together. वहीं पर ही ये उनकी first collection publish होती है Under Orion. He then went on to publish his second collection called as Apparition in April 1971, for which he is going to get award from the Uttar Pradesh state in 1972. His poems appeared in a number of important anthologies, such as Anthology for Contemporary Indian Poetry that was edited by Menka Shivdasani. So she is the one who edited it. And of course, we have another work, The Dance of the Peacock. This is another anthology that was edited by Dr. Vivekanand Jha. And we have his poetries appearing in both the anthologies. दोनों anthology में उनके works आते हैं, which is the first anthology, Anthology of Contemporary Indian Poetry that was edited by Menka, and The Dance of the Peacock. Then his most recent work is The Map Maker. Map Maker that came out in 2002. It offers a compelling series of dramatic monologues by figures that had diverse professions, diverse disciplines. We have speakers like Buddha as well as the old map maker who are going to come together and they're going to talk about their life. So it is such an interesting book. If you read this work, Map Maker, you will find a historical milieux. You will find a number of passionate people coming together talking about their own passion, their own interest, their own culture, and historical milieux will come to become alive as well as well curated. But there is also a more marked, fanciful terms that are used there, and it will also give you a number of philosophical notions of the time and the space. So ye work, The Map Maker, is not only important because you will look at the different people coming together and talking about themselves, but it will also talk about philosophy, right? You have important people like Buddha who will come forward and talk about himself. You have the old map maker who will talk about his own experiences. And there is so much to learn from this poetry collection. There are some other books like In Morning Dew, Under Orion, Apparition in April. Then we have The Sword and Abyss. It's a collection of short story in 1979. Winter Poems, The Keeper of the Dead, important hai ye. Crossing of River, Landscape, A Summer of Tiger, that came out in 1993. The Night River, it's again a collection of poem in 2000, this came out. The Map Maker, The Scarecrow and the Ghost, For Pepper and Christ, and we have Shivering to Solitude, Letters to Mama. These are the works that we see from, these are the works by K.N. Daruwalla, and all of them are important. We discussed the various themes, we discussed the various works that are done by K.N. Daruwalla. If you still have any doubt, you can ask me that in the comment section and I'll surely reply to you. Thank you.